Hello, everyone. My name is Chris. Today I'm going to be reading from the book of Proverbs. I will be reading chapters 1 and 2. And in my opinion, Proverbs is one of the most practical books in the Bible. I would say if Ecclesiastes is described as honest, Proverbs is described as practical for me. The reason I feel this way is because it teaches us what wisdom looks like. Also how to avoid foolishness, and why the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. So with that being said, I'm going to start reading chapter 1. The beginning of knowledge, the Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. To know wisdom and instruction, to understand words of insight, to receive instruction in wise dealing, in righteousness, justice, and equity, to give prudence to the simple, knowledge and discretion to the youth. Let the wise hear and increase in learning, and the one who understands obtain guidance. To understand a proverb and a saying, the words of the wise and their riddles. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. The enticement of sinners. Hear, my son, your father's instruction, and forsake not your mother's teaching, for they are a graceful garland for your head and pendants for your neck. My son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. If they say, come with us, let us lie in wait for blood. Let us ambush the innocent without reason. Like Sheol, let us swallow them alive and whole, like those who go down to the pit. We shall find all precious goods, we shall fill our houses with plunder. Throw in your lot among us, we will all have one purse. My son, do not walk in the way with them, hold back your foot from their paths. For their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed blood. For in vain is a net spread in the sight of any bird, but these men lie in wait for their own blood. They set an ambush for their own lives. Such are the ways of everyone who is greedy for unjust gain. It takes away the life of its possessors. The call of wisdom. Wisdom cries aloud in the street. In the markets she raises her voice. At the head of the noisy streets she cries out. At the entrance of the city gates she speaks. How long, O simple ones, will you love being simple? How long will scoffers delight in their scoffing, and fools hate knowledge? If you turn at my reproof, behold, I will pour out my spirit to you. I will make my words known to you. Because I have called and you refuse to listen, have stretched out my hand and no one has heeded, because you have ignored all my counsel and would have none of my reproof, I will also laugh at your calamity. I will mock when terror strikes you. When terror strikes you like a storm and your calamity comes like a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you, then they will call upon me, but I will not answer. They will seek me diligently, but will not find me, because they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord. Would have none of my counsel and despised all my reproof. Therefore they shall eat the fruit of their way and have their fill of their own devices. For the simple are killed by their turning away, and the complacency of fools destroys them. But whoever listens to me will dwell secure and will be at ease, without dread of disaster. So what I love about Proverbs chapter 1 is that it begins by telling us why this book exists. It's written so that we can grow in wisdom, discipline, understanding, and discernment. But almost immediately, Solomon is reminding us that wisdom doesn't begin with intelligence. It begins with our relationship to God. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, which is the foundation everything else is built upon. The chapter then shifts to a warning, with Solomon speaking as a father urging his son not to be drawn in by sinners who promise easy gain. It's also remarkable how relevant that is today. because temptation often presents itself as an opportunity, and it did back then and it does now. It promises quick rewards while hiding the consequences. Solomon here is telling us to recognize those invitations for what they are and refuse to walk that path. And then, of course, the tone changes again as wisdom herself is portrayed calling out in the streets. And this is a beautiful image because wisdom is not hidden away for only a select few, for the rich or for the extremely intelligent, or for those that are, well known. Wisdom is for anyone who will listen, anyone who's willing to search for it. And, there's this tragedy within, I think, society because wisdom is not silent. Wisdom is there, but so many people are choosing to ignore the voice of wisdom, which is why it's tragic. And then, of course, we get to the end of the chapter and it closes with one of the strongest warnings in Proverbs. It's saying that, there comes a point where continually rejecting wisdom has its own consequences, but thankfully, it's also ending on a note of hope. Solomon is saying that whoever listens to wisdom will dwell secure and be at ease without fear of disaster. So that promise is reminding us that God's wisdom is not meant to restrict us, it's meant to protect us. And that's the beauty of Proverbs chapter 1, but now let's look at Proverbs chapter 2. And one of the things that I love about chapter 2 is that Solomon is no longer, just talking about wisdom, and he doesn't describe wisdom as something ordinary either. He describes it as something that's worth searching for with everything that we have. So throughout this chapter, it's important to pay attention to how often Solomon talks about seeking, searching, receiving, and understanding. And I would say that within Proverbs, it's one of the most beautiful pictures of wisdom anywhere. Or not just, in Proverbs actually, but just anywhere in general, but definitely inside of Proverbs as well. So, I'm going to read chapter 2 now. The value of wisdom. My son, if you receive my words and treasure up my commandments with you, making your ear attentive to wisdom and inclining your heart to understanding. Yes, if you call out for insight and raise your voice for understanding, if you seek it like silver and search for it as for hidden treasures, then you will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God, for the Lord gives wisdom. From his mouth come knowledge and understanding. He stores up sound wisdom for the upright. He is a shield to those who walk in integrity, guarding the paths of justice and watching over the way of his saints. Then you will understand righteousness and justice and equity, every good path. For wisdom will come into your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Discretion will watch over you, understanding will guard you, delivering you from the way of evil, from men of perverted speech, who forsake the paths of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness, who rejoice in doing evil and delight in the perverseness of evil. Men whose paths are crooked and who are devious in their ways. So you will be delivered from the forbidden woman, from the adulteress with her smooth words, who forsakes the companion of her youth and forgets the covenant of her God. For her house sinks down to death, and her paths to the departed. None who go to her come back, nor do they regain the paths of life. So you will walk in the way of the good, and keep to the paths of the righteous. For the upright will inhabit the land, and those with integrity will remain in it. But the wicked will be cut off from the land, and the treacherous will be rooted out of it. Okay, so one thing that immediately stands out to me is how active this chapter is. I think that's a good word to describe it, active. So Solomon doesn't say that wisdom just appears out of thin air or anything like that. He says to receive instruction, treasure God's commandments, cry out for insight, raise your voice for understanding, seek wisdom like silver, search for it as hidden treasure. So these are all powerful images because they're reminding us that spiritual growth is not passive. It's not going to just come to you, most of the time at least. Just like someone who's searching for buried treasure doesn't give up after 5 minutes, we don't stop seeking God's wisdom just because we don't immediately understand everything. Even with me, I've read this chapter, both of these chapters, several times, and the amount of understanding I have about it now is not the amount of understanding that I had the first time or the second or even the third or probably even the fourth or fifth. It took me a lot of time to actually really understand the book of Proverbs and many other books of the Bible. Some of them I still don't fully understand. For example, Corinthians, Kings, Judges, those are some books that are very hard for me to get through. And those books I've gotten through, I've gone through 1 Corinthians. I've done most of 2nd. I've done all of both Kings, 1st and 2nd, Judges, all of that, but they're not easy books for me. But yeah, so, the point is you keep going back to it. You keep reading, you keep looking, you keep praying, you keep searching. Search for it like it is literally silver. If you were searching for silver, you wouldn't just give up, right? You would keep going because it's something that you want. It's precious. It's, it's considered riches, that type of stuff. So it's important to seek wisdom like it is literally riches, because it is. And another verse I would say that stands out to me is when Solomon says, "For the Lord gives wisdom." So I think this is really important because you can study, you can read, you can ask all the questions in the world, but Solomon is telling us that true wisdom ultimately comes from God himself. So we're learning because of God. So everything that we know, it's given to us by God. Even the fact that we want to know things, even the fact that we are curious people, we're curious creatures because God has made us that way. But knowledge and wisdom are not always the same thing. For example, someone can know a great deal and still be foolish. They can live foolishly. They can make foolish choices. You can have a PhD and still make a very foolish choice in your life. You can commit a life of sin and have straight A's. And I know because I've been a huge sinner and I'm still a sinner. Maybe not as much as I was before, but that doesn't change the fact that I am still a sinner right now. But biblical wisdom changes the way we live because it begins with the one that created us, and that's why it's so important to not only seek it out, but to recognize that it's given to us by God himself. The chapter also talks about protection. God's wisdom guards us. It protects us from walking down a destructive path or destructive paths. It helps us recognize truth from deception. And I would say that this is especially important today because we're surrounded by more voices than ever before. Many of us don't know discernment yet. Even I'm still learning to understand when a person is manipulating me or when they have good intentions. But not every voice deserves our trust, and not every path leads to somewhere good. And I know this from personal experience because, like I said, I'm a huge sinner. I was a huge sinner in the past, even more so than I am now, and I made some really bad choices that led me down the wrong path. But wisdom helps us recognize the difference. And of course, the final verses remind us that our choices have lasting consequences. So the righteous remain on the path, the wicked ultimately lose their footing. And that is a theme that we see throughout Proverbs. God isn't giving us wisdom because he wants to make life difficult. He's giving us wisdom because he knows where each path leads. So when you read Proverbs chapter 2, it's important to not come away thinking about treasure, right? It's important to come away thinking about pursuit, Like, what am I pursuing every day? What am I spending my time searching for? Because Solomon tells us that if we pursued God's wisdom with the same determination that people pursue success or wealth or recognition, which goes back to Ecclesiastes, talking about how none of these things actually provide lasting happiness, we discover something far more valuable when we search for God's wisdom. And that's a challenge that I think a lot of us should keep thinking about, never stop thinking about it. I know it's something that I'm always thinking about. And, I'm still struggling with discernment myself. I do feel conviction from the Holy Spirit, but that doesn't mean that I always listen, and it doesn't mean that I always make the right choices. And that is something that I'm still working on. But yeah, so thank you for listening. God bless you. See ya.